You ever notice how the smallest details, the ones most people overlook, and end up being the only thing standing between life and death? The eagle tattoo on my wrist, for example. I remember the first time someone really stared at it, their lips curled in that mix of judgment and confusion like, what's a logistics officer doing with a bird inked on her skin, numbers tucked into its wings? Most figured it was some late-night mistake, a failed rebellion, or maybe something left over from a bad relationship. But they never knew the truth, not until the day everything changed at Blackwater Base in Montana, where secrets don't just get buried, they get weaponized. Montana, early summer, and the heat shimmered off the blacktop in those weird wavy patterns you only ever see if you've served a place built so far off the map, even the satellites get bored. Blackwater Base was a secret one of those installations where you could serve for years and never see your name on a directory. Supply trucks coming in and out, kids running drills, the smell of gun oil, sweat, and burnt coffee everywhere that's home. You know what I mean? I kept it myself. Always did. I'd hand in the paperwork never a comma, out of place, and most folks barely remember my name, just a nickname. Eagle Scout, they'd call out, half teasing, half wondering if there was more to the story. Most of the time, I let it slide. You keep your head down in logistics. Nobody looks twice unless something blows up. But that morning, Briggs, one of those overbuilt rangers who thinks volume is leadership, decided to make it his mission to get under my skin. What's with the tattoo, Mitchell? Trying to impress special ops? Miss your boyfriend? Or just trying to look tough? His buddy snickered, but I just kept walking. I'd heard it all before, and besides, late inventory waits for no one. Nobody at Blackwater knew why I was really there. And honestly, most days I almost convinced myself the whole Wraith Division thing was a fever dream. Only I wore that tattoo for a Riasona date, a team, a mission no one was ever supposed to remember. Until the day the Delta Force colonel showed up. Colonel James Harrington was a legend in ways you can't put on a plaque. People say his medals have medals, and the Pentagon listens when he talks. When he walked into the mess hall that day, you could feel the oxygen shift. I was at the end of the table, just eating and scanning my manifest, trying to be invisible. But you ever have that sense that someone's looking at you, not just glancing, but really looking? That's what happened when his eyes found my wrist. He stopped dead in the middle of a room full of officers and stared at the eagle and those numbers. Silence, like the kind that falls after the last round is fired and nobody knows what comes next. And then he saluted me. Not a nod, not some casual acknowledgement, a real, formal, regulation salute to a staff sergeant. Every conversation in the room froze. You could hear forks hit trays. Briggs' face looked like someone told him gravity just reversed. And I knew in that moment my cover was gone. Colonel Jensen, the base commander, was just as stunned. After lunch, I got called into his office, where Harrington and Jensen both waited. Jensen's office was a museum of Ordurno family photos. No clutter, just warm maps, and that clinical air you only find in rooms where bad news gets delivered. Harrington cut through the niceties. Your Eagle, August 14th, Operation Chimera. He didn't need to explain. I remembered every second of that. Mission 27 went in. Only 9 came back. That date is why the numbers are inked into the Eagle's wings. I said it straight. 9 out of 27, sir. Jensen demanded answers, and for the first time, the Real story started to leak out. Wraith Division, a unit so deep in the shadows, you had to sign away your future to join. All female, all invisible, trained to disappear and never be found. Why women? Because sometimes the only way to slip behind enemy lines is to be the one no one ever suspects. We did things nobody talks about, not because they were wrong, but because the world wasn't ready to know how dirty the fight could get. After Operation Chimera blew up, they erased us. Officially, we died in an IED attack. Truth is, we walked into an ambush. Someone on our side sold us out, and the only way to root out the mole was to make us ghosts. 9 of us scattered across the country. New names, new faces, new jobs. I became Sarah Mitchell, Logistics Eagle Scout, hiding in plain sight, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And here's the thing about living like that, your instincts never turn off. So when Blackwater started showing the same little glitches, cameras cycling wrong, Sensors failing, communications blipping at just the right times. I knew. Obsidian, the group that nearly wiped out my team. Former military, now mercenaries for hire, no flag, no loyalties. They've been poking at Blackwater for weeks. But until Harrington recognized me, I'd been able to track them quietly. Now, everything sped up. Reynolds, my CO, pulled me into her office. She wasn't just a by-the-book officer. She'd seen things, survived things, understood that sometimes the best soldier isn't the one who follows orders, but the one who knows when to break them. She wanted the truth, but I couldn't tell her. Not all of it. Instead, I promised to keep her in the loop, and she let me be. That's rare in command. But the whispers spread. Suddenly, I wasn't invisible anymore. Everyone watched me. Everyone wondered. Rodriguez in comms. Johnson in logistics, sharp as a tack. MIT dropout who joined up for reasons nobody could ever get out of her. Even Major Wilson. Operation, she started digging into my background, pulling at threads that, if he kept tugging, could unravel everything. Then, just when I thought I had a handle on the fallout, I got the code. Eagle flies at midnight. That's not just a cute Phraseite's Wraith Division's panic button. Imminent threat. Only, no one left alive should have had that number. Which meant either someone was compromised or we'd been outed completely. I deleted the message, but my skin crawled. Obsidian was coming. Meetings started happening in locked rooms, General Montgomery himself flying in under the radar. No ceremony, just orders. He called me Captain Mitchell Talone. My real rank. My real name. He told me what I already feared. Obsidian was targeting not just Blackwater, but installations across the country. Coordinated. Fast. Surgical. My job was no longer just to observe. I had to build a team, hunt the traitor, and prepare to defend the base with whatever it took. I picked Reynolds, trusted, tough, resourceful. Blackwood, head of security, gruff and uncompromising, the kind of guy who's impossible to fool. And Johnson, because sometimes you need the one person who can see what everyone else misses. Weapons showed up, real ones, not training junk delivered under Montgomery's orders. That's when I knew, if things went bad, we wouldn't have backup. We were the backup. Twist is, it wasn't just outside threats. Wilson, the major, was taking unexplained money. Suddenly, my focus was split stop Obsidian and maybe stop a mole in the command staff. Rodriguez started sniffing around, communications getting glitchy right when we had secret meetings. Johnson noticed camera anomalies, blind spots, too perfect to be accidents. You ever get that feeling the floor just dropped out from under you, but you're still standing? That's what this was like. And then the day of reckoning came. The message repeated, Eagle flies at midnight. I had my team, weapons prep, positions mapped out. The base was as ready as we could make it, but in the back of my mind, I knew it wouldn't be enough if the inside man made the wrong call at the wrong moment. We set up me at the north perimeter, Blackwood by the substation, Reynolds on comms, Johnson in the security office. Quiet, focused, heartbeat steady. The night air was sharp, Montana sky wide open and black as jet fuel, stars wheeling overhead. For hours, nothing moved. And then, a shadow by the fence, too careful to be a stray animal, too smooth to be a rookie. I whispered the code to Reynolds, contact north. Blackwood's voice, low and steady. Multiple signatures east. Johnson's feed blinked, confirming what we all already knew. Obsidian was inside. And that, right there, is when you stop feeling afraid and start getting angry. Angry at the betrayal, at the loss, at the years of hiding, all boiling up in that single moment when you realize it's time to fight back, time to stop running. I pressed the talk button. Weapons free. Everything after that became a blur, muzzle flashes in the darkness, shouts, the hiss of suppressed rounds, radio static. I saw Johnson's face in the glow of her monitor, focused, determined. She'd never fired at a human before. But tonight, she was the difference between safety and disaster. Blackwood's team cut off the east advance. Reynolds coordinated reinforcements, and, well, I went hunting. I found Wilson trying to slip away, radio in hand, calling out coordinates. He froze when he saw me. For a second, there was this flash of regret, then just cold calculation. It's not what you think, he started, but I was done listening. You picked the wrong side, Major. He reached for his weapon, but I was faster. By dawn, the attack was over. Obsidian's strike team neutralized, Wilson in custody, Rodriguez proven clean. We lost power, a few minor injuries, but no deaths on our side. For the first time in 6 years, I felt the old pride return not for myself, but for the team for the way we held the line. After, as the base returned to the rhythm of daily life, General Montgomery called me in. "You did well, Captain. Wraith Division isn't a memory. It's a promise one we're going to have to keep making over and over as long as threats like this exist." And you know what? I looked at the eagle on my wrist, felt the ache in my shoulder, heard the faintest echo of gunfire in the silence. Maybe this is who I really am, not a ghost, not a name in a file, but someone who takes a shot, stands their ground, and lives to fight another day. So now, I'll ask you, honestly, was what we did justice? Was it right to hide in the shadows, to become something other than what people see when they look at us? Would you make the same call, knowing you might have to give up everything to protect people who will never know your name? I want to hear what you think about secrets, about loyalty, about the cost of doing what's right when nobody's watching. Let's talk about it below. Justice, betrayal, sacrifice, what's the line? And who gets to draw it?